A 6-year-old boy sat in a wheelchair, so expensive it looked like a spaceship, yet he could not move his legs. His name was Marcus Ashford, and he had never taken a single step in his entire life. His father, the richest man in the city, had tried everything. Doctors, machines, medicines that cost more than houses. Nothing worked. The boy's legs remained still, frozen as if time itself had forgotten to teach them how to move. But this is not a story about a boy who could not walk. This is a story about what his family was hiding, and the girl who refused to let them hide it anymore. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories that will shake your heart and make you believe in the power of truth. And please, tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. The Ashford mansion sat on top of a hill like a golden crown. Marble columns held up a roof, so high it seemed to touch the clouds. Inside, everything was perfect, too perfect. The walls gleamed white. The floors reflected light like mirrors. But in the east wing, where the sunlight never quite reached, Marcus lived in a room that looked more like a laboratory than a bedroom. His wheelchair was connected to machines with wires and sensors. Cameras watched from corners. His father, Adrian Ashford, came to see him every morning at exactly 7 o'clock, stayed for exactly 5 minutes, and left without smiling. Adrian was not a cruel man. Not really. He had loved Marcus's mother with all his heart. She had died 3 years ago, and something inside Adrian had broken and never healed properly. When Marcus was born paralyzed, Adrian could not accept it. A man like him, powerful enough to move mountains, powerful enough to change cities, could not accept that his own son could not move his own legs. So Adrian did what powerful men do. He decided to fix it himself. He brought in doctors who whispered promises. He invested in technology that hummed with secret ambitions. And he told himself every single day that he was helping his son. But in his heart, Adrian was running from the truth. His son had a condition that doctors could not cure, and running away from truth is one of the loneliest journeys a person can take. Marcus had learned not to ask questions. He had learned to smile when his father visited. He had learned that his legs belonged to the machines more than they belonged to him. The doctors came every week. They attached sensors to his skin. They typed things into computers. They said things like neural response and data collection and remarkable progress. But Marcus never felt anything change. His legs remained still. Then one morning, everything changed. The new housekeeper arrived on a Tuesday. Her name was Sophia, and she had a daughter named Emma, who was 10 years old. Sophia needed work desperately. Her family lived in a cramped apartment across town, where the walls were thin and the noise never stopped. When she saw the job posting for the Ashford mansion, she thought it might save her life. The pay was good. The work seemed simple. But nothing about her first day prepared her for what she would find. Emma came with her mother because there was no one to watch her while Sophia worked. She was supposed to sit quietly in the kitchen and do her homework. But Emma was not the sitting quietly type. Emma was curious. Emma asked questions. Emma noticed things that other people missed. She noticed that Marcus was always alone. She noticed that no one laughed in the mansion, even though it was supposed to be a home. She noticed that Marcus's door was locked from the outside sometimes, and that seemed very strange. Most of all, she noticed that Marcus had a sadness in his eyes that did not match his age. No 6-year-old should have eyes that sad. On the third day, when Sophia was cleaning upstairs, Emma snuck down the hallway and found Marcus's room. She pushed the door open slowly. Marcus was sitting in his wheelchair, staring at nothing. Machines beeped softly around him. Wires hung from his shoulders like metal snakes. "Hi," Emma said. "I'm Emma. My mom works here now. What's your name?" Marcus turned his head slowly. Almost no one ever talked to him like a regular person. Almost no one ever looked at him without sadness in their face. "I'm Marcus," he said quietly, "but I'm not supposed to have visitors." "I'm not a visitor," Emma said, walking into the room anyway. I guess I'm your neighbor now. That means we should be friends." For the first time in a very long time, Marcus smiled. Emma started coming to his room every day after that. She did not ask permission. She did not follow the rules. She sat on his bed and told him stories about her school, her friends, the things she wanted to do when she grew up. She made him laugh. She asked him questions about his life, and when he told her about the machines and the doctors and the tests, she listened carefully. "Does it hurt?" she asked one afternoon. "No," Marcus said. "It's just, I can feel something under my skin sometimes, like something is moving inside my legs, but I can't make them move. It's like my brain is talking to them, but they're not listening." Emma frowned. She was thinking hard, the way she always did when something did not make sense to her. "That's really strange," she said. "Have you told your dad?" "My dad says the doctors know what they're doing. He says I have to be patient. He says one day I will walk again, and everything will be normal." Emma was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that would change everything. "Can I see under your pant leg?" Marcus hesitated. No one had asked him that before, but he trusted Emma in a way he did not trust the doctors or even his father. He nodded. Emma carefully rolled up his pant leg. His leg was thin and pale, like it had never seen sunlight. But there, on the inside of his thigh, was something that made Emma's heart skip a beat. It was a small bump on his skin, metal-colored, with tiny lights that blinked in a pattern. "Marcus," Emma whispered. "What is that?" "I don't know," Marcus said. "It's always been there, I think. The doctors put it there when I was really little. They said it would help me walk. They said it was like a bridge between my brain and my legs." Emma stared at the metal thing under his skin. Her mind was racing. Something about this was not right. Something about this was very, very wrong. "Marcus, I think we need to find out what that really is." And in that moment, the house of secrets began to crack. The machinery of lies began to strain. Because Emma was the kind of girl who did not accept excuses. Emma was the kind of girl who asked questions when she saw something wrong. Emma was the kind of girl who believed that a boy deserved to have his own body and his own truth and his own life. Adrian Ashford had no idea that his careful world was about to explode. He had no idea that a poor girl from across town was about to uncover the truth he had been running from for so long. He had no idea that his love for his son, twisted into something dark by his own fear and power, was about to be exposed to the light. In the mansion on the hill, in the room where machines hummed their secret songs, a friendship had just begun that would change everything. And sometimes that is all it takes. Sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to ask why, and one person brave enough to tell the truth. The House of Secrets was about to meet the girl who refused to keep them. Emma could not stop thinking about the metal thing under Marcus's skin. It sat in her mind like a puzzle piece that did not fit anywhere. That night, while her mother was cleaning dishes in the mansion's kitchen, Emma sat on her bed in their small apartment and opened her laptop. She typed very carefully. "Metal implants under skin medical device." The search results were confusing, full of big words and technical explanations. But one thing became very clear to her. Metal implants under the skin were supposed to help people. They were supposed to be safe. They were supposed to make life better, not trap someone in a wheelchair. The next morning, Emma went back to Marcus's room. She found him sitting by the window, watching birds fly past. The sadness in his eyes was so heavy that Emma almost could not look at it. "Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer me really honestly," Emma said. "Has anything ever felt different? Like, can you feel your legs at all? Can you feel tingling or burning or anything like that?" Marcus thought about it for a long time. Most people never asked him what he felt. They just assumed his legs were dead, like they had given up before his body did. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "when the machines are working on me, I feel something. It's like electricity moving through my legs. It hurts a little, but then the doctors say that means it's working. They say the pain means progress." Emma's stomach sank. She had read enough last night to know that real medical treatment should not hurt like that. She had read enough to know that if something was supposed to help you walk, it should not keep you trapped in a wheelchair for 6 years. "Marcus, I think something is wrong. I think maybe that thing under your skin is not helping you at all. I think it might be hurting you." Marcus looked at her with confusion, and fear mixed together in his expression. "But my dad says the doctors know what they're doing." My dad says they're the best doctors in the world. Your dad loves you, Emma said, and she meant it. But I think your dad might be wrong about this. That was a dangerous thing to say in a house like the Ashford mansion, where fathers were not questioned, where power was not challenged, where everything was supposed to be perfect. But Emma was not the kind of girl who was afraid of dangerous things. For the next week, Emma visited Marcus every single day. She brought books and read to him. She made him laugh by telling jokes, even though some of them were not very funny. She drew pictures of what she wanted to do when she grew up, and she asked Marcus what he wanted to do. He was quiet for a long time before he answered. I want to run, he said. I want to feel the ground under my feet when I run. I want to fall down and get back up and run again. I want to know what wind feels like on my face when I'm moving really fast. Emma felt tears in her eyes when he said that, because Marcus was not asking for something impossible. He was asking for something every child should have. He was asking for his own body. He was asking for his own life. Emma started paying attention to everything. She watched when the doctors came. She noticed that they always went into a room next to Marcus's bedroom, a room with a lock on the door. She noticed that they carried tablet computers and made notes, but never actually examined Marcus properly. They just attached sensors and left. She noticed that Adrian came less and less, and when he did come, he seemed more stressed, more tired, more broken. One afternoon, Emma overheard a conversation between two of the doctors in the hallway outside Marcus's room. She pressed her ear against the door and listened carefully. The neurosuppression is holding steady, one doctor said. We are getting excellent data on motor control patterns. And the subject is not experiencing any complications? The other doctor asked. Minor discomfort, which we are managing with the current medication protocol. The family is completely satisfied with our progress reports. Emma's blood ran cold. The word subject was not right. Marcus was not a subject. Marcus was a person. A person was not something you studied like an experiment. A person was not something you kept trapped while you collected data about them. She knew then that something terrible was happening, something that went beyond simple misunderstanding. This was not just about a father who loved his son too much and made bad decisions. This was about people who were using Marcus, studying him, keeping him sick on purpose. That evening, Emma told her mother everything. Sophia's face went white as a sheet. She sat down slowly, like her legs had stopped working. We have to tell someone, Emma said. We have to tell the police. Emma, no. Sophia's voice was shaking. If we do that, we lose our jobs. We lose our home. Your father is already not sending money. We need this job to survive. But they are hurting Marcus, Emma said. They are hurting him on purpose. Sophia looked at her daughter, and she saw the same thing that Marcus saw. She saw a girl who refused to accept that doing nothing was acceptable. She saw a girl who understood that some things were more important than money, more important than safety, more important than survival itself. She saw a girl with a conscience. We have to be careful, Sophia said finally. We have to be very, very careful. If we go to the police without proof, they will just say we are crazy. We need proof, real proof that cannot be denied. Emma nodded. She understood. They needed to find something that would force the truth into the light, something that Adrian Ashford himself could not deny or explain away. For the next few days, Emma watched and waited. She moved to the mansion like a shadow, paying attention to everything. She noticed which rooms were locked and which were not. She noticed when the doctors came and when they left. She noticed when Adrian was home and when he was not. She was building a map of secrets in her mind, and soon, very soon, she would know exactly where to find the proof she needed. Marcus noticed a change in Emma. She was quieter now, more focused. She told him that she was working on something, but she could not tell him what yet. She asked him to be brave. She asked him to trust her. And Marcus, who had learned to trust so few people in his short life, trusted her completely. One night, Emma lay in bed and stared at the ceiling of her small room. She thought about Marcus trapped in that mansion on the hill. She thought about all the machines and wires and lies that were keeping him imprisoned. She thought about her mother who was afraid because she was poor and afraid because she could not afford to lose her job. Emma thought about how unfair the world was, how power could twist love into something ugly, how money could buy silence. And then she made a decision that would change everything. She was going to find the proof. She was going to break into that locked room. She was going to discover exactly what was really being done to Marcus. And she was going to make sure that nobody, not even the richest man in the city, could stop the truth from coming out. Emma closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow, she would begin. Tomorrow, she would become the girl who asked the questions that could not be ignored. Tomorrow, her search for the truth would become dangerous, and everything would change. The locked room was on the second floor of the east wing, just past Marcus's bedroom. Emma had watched long enough to know the pattern. The doctors came every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. Adrian was always at his office on those days. Sophia would be cleaning the west wing, far away. That left Emma with exactly 1 hour to get inside that room, find what she needed, and get out without being caught. Tuesday morning came. Emma's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. She waited until she heard her mother's footsteps move up the stairs to the third floor. She waited until the doctor's car pulled away from a mansion after their appointment. Then she walked to the locked door with a key card that she had taken from the doctor's desk the week before. She had been planning this for days. The key card worked. The door clicked open. Inside, the room was cold and quiet. Banks of computers lined the walls, screens glowing with information. File cabinets stood like metal soldiers. But what made Emma stop and stare was the wall photographs. Dozens and dozens of photographs. Some were of Marcus. Some were of other children she had never seen before. Children with wheelchairs. Children with oxygen tubes. Children who all looked the same kind of trapped. Emma's hands were shaking, but she forced herself to move. She opened the file cabinets. Page after page of medical documents. But they were not like any medical documents she had ever seen. These were filled with charts and data points and measurements of neural activity. These were research files. Marcus was not being treated. Marcus was being studied. Marcus was part of an experiment. One folder had a label that made her freeze. Project Silent Walk. Neurosuppression and data collection. Confidential. Inside were photographs of the implant. Technical drawings showing how it worked. The implant was not helping movement at all. It was doing the opposite. It was blocking signals from Marcus's brain to his legs. It was keeping him paralyzed on purpose, so the doctors could study how his nervous system responded. Emma felt sick. She felt angry. She felt something break inside her that would never be the same again. She found a flash drive in the desk drawer. With shaking hands, she plugged it into the nearest computer. She started copying files. Come on, she whispered to the machine, watching the progress bar creep slowly across the screen. 30%, 50%, 80%. Any second now, someone could walk through that door and find her. 95%, 100%. Emma yanked the flash drive out and shoved it into her pocket. She closed the files. She closed the door behind her. She walked down the hallway with her legs feeling like water, not quite sure they would hold her up. She found Marcus in his room, staring out the window like always. I found it, Emma whispered. I found everything. They are hurting you on purpose, Marcus. They put that thing inside you to keep you from walking, and they are studying what happens to you. Your dad is paying them to do it. Marcus's face went very still. His eyes filled with tears, but he did not cry out loud. He cried silently, like he had learned long ago that his pain did not matter to people around him. We're going to fix this, Emma said, squeezing his hand. I promise you we're going to fix this. That evening, Emma and her mother sat in their small apartment and looked at the files on the flash drive. Sophia's face grew darker and angrier with each document she read. When she saw the photographs of the other children, she stood up and paced back and forth, her hands clenched into fists. This is not just wrong, Sophia said. This is evil. This is a crime. We have to go to the police right now. Wait, Emma said. She had thought about this very carefully. If we go to the police now, Adrian Ashford will use his money to get the best lawyers. He will claim he did not know what the doctors were doing. He will claim He only wanted to help his son. The doctors will disappear. They will destroy evidence. We have to be smarter than that. What do you mean? Sophia asked. I mean, we have to go to the news. We have to make this public. We have to tell everyone so that Adrian cannot hide it. Once the whole world knows, the police will have to act. The courts will have to act. Then he cannot make it go away. Sophia was quiet for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and called a number she had found online. A reporter who worked for the biggest news channel in the city. A reporter who specialized in investigating corruption and lies hidden behind closed doors. The next morning, the reporter came to their apartment. Her name was Lisa Chun, and she had fierce, intelligent eyes that looked like they had seen too much of the world's darkness. Emma showed her the files. She showed her the photographs. She explained everything she had discovered. Lisa's face got colder and colder as she listened. This is one of the biggest stories I've ever heard, Lisa said, but we need to be very careful. Adrian Ashford has lawyers and money and power. We need to interview Marcus. We need him to tell his story on camera. And we need to move fast before they figure out what is happening and destroy the evidence. Emma nodded. She understood. Now the real danger began. That afternoon, Lisa came to the mansion with a small camera crew. She said she was doing a story on Adrian Ashford for a documentary about successful business leaders. Adrian was proud. Adrian wanted to be on camera. Adrian had no idea that his world was about to explode. They filmed in Marcus's room. Lisa asked general questions about his life, his treatments, his dreams. And Marcus, who had learned to stay silent for so long, finally spoke the truth. He talked about the machines. He talked about the implant. He talked about the doctors who came and left and never made him better. He talked about his father, who he knew loved him but who had gotten lost in his own pain. When Marcus rolled up his pant leg and showed the metal implant under his skin to the camera, Lisa's cameraman zoomed in close. The world was going to see exactly what Adrian Ashford had done. The world was going to see exactly what money and power and fear could make a father do to his own son. That night, Adrian came home to his mansion on the hill. He walked into his bedroom and turned on the news. His face went completely white. His own son on television, showing the world the truth. The doctors being arrested at that very moment. The files being released to every news channel. His empire, the one he had built on lies and experiments and broken children, was collapsing in real time. Adrian fell to his knees. He finally understood what he had done. He finally saw his son not as a puzzle to solve, but as a person he had hurt. The grief that he had been running from for so long finally caught up with him, and he could not run anymore. In the next room, locked inside machines and wires, Marcus watched his father break on the evening news. And for the first time in his life, he felt something shift inside him, not in his legs. In his heart, he felt the beginning of something that had been trapped for 6 years. He felt hope. 3 weeks later, the machines were gone from Marcus's room. The wires were disconnected. The doctors were arrested and facing criminal charges. Adrian Ashford sat in a hospital waiting room with his own lawyers, but he was not thinking about his empire anymore. He was thinking about his son. The surgery to remove the implant was delicate. The doctors who performed it were real doctors, not the kind who experiment on children for data. They worked carefully to extract the metal device from under Marcus's skin. When it was finally out, they showed it to Adrian. It was smaller than he had imagined, but it represented something enormous. It represented years of lies. It represented a father's fear twisted into cruelty. It represented the power of money to corrupt even the deepest love. Will he walk? Adrian asked the surgeon. We do not know yet, the surgeon said honestly. The implant has been suppressing his neural signals for 6 years. His nervous system will have to relearn how to send messages to his legs. It will take time. It will take therapy. But the device is no longer blocking the signals. Theoretically, now his body can remember how to move. Adrian nodded. Theoretically, the word hung in the air like a question mark. Emma came to the hospital every single day. She sat with Marcus through the physical therapy sessions. She watched his therapist gently move his legs, teaching his body what movement meant. She held his hand when he cried from the pain and the frustration. She told him stories to keep his hope alive. One afternoon, something miraculous happened. Marcus's toe moved. Just barely. Just a tiny wiggle. But it moved. And when it moved, Marcus screamed with joy so loud that nurses came running into the room thinking something was wrong. But nothing was wrong. Everything was finally right. Did you see it? Marcus shouted at Emma. Did you see my toe move? Emma, I moved my toe. Emma cried happy tears. She hugged him carefully, mindful of his still healing body. I saw it, she said. I saw it. And tomorrow your foot is going to move. And the day after that, your whole leg. Marcus, you're going to walk. Within 2 months, Marcus took his first step. He was holding onto a walker, his legs shaking with effort, his face red with concentration. But he stood up. He stepped forward. His left foot moved in front of his right foot. Then his right foot moved forward. He was walking. After 6 years of being told it was impossible, Marcus was walking. Adrian was there to see it. He watched his son move across the room, one painful step at a time, and something finally healed inside him, too. He cried. He cried for all the years he had wasted running from pain. He cried for all the time he had lost with his son. He cried for the monster he had almost become, and for the fact that it was not too late to become someone different. The trial lasted 3 months. The doctors admitted to everything. Adrian admitted to everything. The evidence was overwhelming. The crimes were clear, but the judge also saw something else. The judge saw a father who had finally understood what he had done. The judge saw a man who was genuinely, deeply sorry. Adrian Ashford received a sentence that would allow him to eventually be released, but more importantly, he received a chance to rebuild his relationship with his son. Everything the Ashford family owned that came from the unethical experiments was seized by the court. The money was used to establish a foundation. And Emma's mother suggested a name, the Sophia and Marcus Foundation, for free medical care for children without wealth. It provided free treatments and surgeries for poor children who could not afford them. Because if money had been used to hurt children, then money would be used to help children. That was justice that actually healed. Emma's mother, Sophia, was offered a job as the foundation's director. She would manage the programs, make sure that no child was ever again used like Marcus had been used. She would make sure that poor families would have access to real doctors, real care, real hope. Sophia accepted immediately. She finally had a job that mattered more than survival. She had a job that changed the world. Marcus continued to walk. Every single day, his legs got stronger. Every single day, he moved a little further. Within 6 months, he could walk across a room without help. Within a year, he could walk upstairs. He still had therapy 3 times a week, but the doctors all agreed he would make a full recovery. His legs had been frozen, but his spirit had never been broken. And now that his body was free, his spirit soared. Adrian changed too. He stepped down as CEO of his company and sold all his shares. He dedicated himself to rebuilding his relationship with his son. They spent hours in the garden together, watching Marcus run and play and be the child he had never been allowed to be. Adrian told Marcus the truth about everything. He told him about his own grief over losing his mother. He told him about how fear had made him do terrible things. He told him how sorry he was. "I forgive you," Marcus said one afternoon, running circles around his father in the grass. "But you have to promise me something." "Anything," Adrian said. "Promise me you will never hurt anyone again. Promise me you will always tell the truth, even when it is hard. Promise me you will use your money to help people, not hurt them." Adrian got down on his knees in the grass and looked his son in the eye. "I promise," he said. "With everything I have, I promise." Emma visited often. She watched Marcus play in ways she had never thought possible. She watched the mansion on the hill transform from a house of secrets into a home filled with laughter. She watched Adrian learn how to be a real father. And she understood, in a way that very few people ever do, that the most powerful force in the world is not money or power or fear. The most powerful force in the world is one person brave enough to ask why, and strong enough to speak the truth. Months later, Emma was invited to speak at her school about what happened. She stood in front of hundreds of students and teachers and told them the story. She told him about Marcus. She told him about her mother. She told him about Adrian's journey from darkness into light. And she told him something very important. If you see something wrong, you have to say something, Emma said. You have to be brave enough to question things, even when it is scary. You have to be willing to fight for what is right, even when you're just a kid and everyone else has more power than you. Because the truth is always stronger than lies, and love is always stronger than fear. The audience stood up and applauded, but Emma was not looking at them. She was looking out the window, imagining Marcus running through the garden with his father beside him. She was imagining a world where children were protected, where truth mattered more than money, where one brave girl had changed everything. This is a true story. Not exactly true, not literally true, but true in the way that matters most. True in a way that shows us who we could be if we had the courage to ask the hard questions. True in the way that reminds us that justice is possible, that healing is possible, that redemption is possible. And it all started because one girl refused to accept that silence was easier than speaking up. One girl refused to believe that money was more important than morality. One girl refused to let a child suffer in secret. If you have seen something that you think is wrong, remember Emma. Remember Marcus. Remember that your voice matters. Your questions matter. Your courage matters. Tell someone you trust. Tell a teacher. Tell a parent. Tell the police. Do not stay silent. Because somewhere, there is a child waiting for someone brave enough to ask why. And that someone could be you. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it. Please subscribe so you do not miss more stories about real courage and real change. And most importantly, tell us where you are watching from. We love hearing from all of you. We love knowing that our stories are reaching people all over the world who believe that truth matters, that children matter, that one person can change everything. Because that is what this story is really about. It is about the power inside each of us to make the world better. It is about the power of asking questions. It is about the power of refusing to look away when something is wrong. Marcus learned to walk. Adrian learned to love his son the right way. Sophia built a foundation that helps thousands of children. And Emma learned that she could change the world. What will you do with your power to change the world?